different verses that we state in the Musaf. We talk about that God's kingship. We learned about the idea of God's kingship. God's we talk about shofar. We evoke different things, psukim that talk about the shofar, and we do different psukim that talk about zichronot, different places where the words of Koron, of remembrances are mentioned, and that should serve as a merit to the Jewish community when you talk about God remembered Noah. So therefore God should also remember us for good, you know. So we talk about, so the Mishnah states there's a minimum of 10 sukkim, 10 verses that talk about the kingship, 10 verses that talk about the shofar and the zichronot. And the Gemara is going to say that it's not an arbitrary, meaning it's for a reason. There's a reason, everything is for a reason. And the reason, and we're going to find why they had to have at least 10 psukim of each. Now, everyone got it? 32A4 or 32A3? Ein posim ma'asar malchiot, ma'asar zechronim, ma'asar shofrot. You can have a minimum of 10. However, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri Omer, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri states, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri states, but if you go ahead, im amar gimel mikulam, if you said 3 from each one, you didn't do 10. You didn't do 10, you did 3, and the Gemara is going to clarify what exactly that means, but you did 3, not 10, yotza. You fulfill your obligation, which would seem to indicate that the first opinion would hold, if you did not do 10, you did not fulfill your obligation. And maybe you would have to actually repeat the Amidah, the Musaf warning. But Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says, if you did 3 after the fact, Yotze. Sometimes, you know, there's a way to do it, but there's an ideal of Chatchila, then there's B'diavad after the fact. If you did 3, you were Yotze. So the Gemara says, Hani Asara Malchiot Kineged Mi. When the Chachamim instituted, in the same way when the rabbis instituted, you know, let's say a Musaf has of a Shabbat has 7 psukim, right? Seven blessings. You know, it was corresponding to something. It was not you know, why it's 7 and not 6, and why it's not 8 or 10. It has a reason. So now the Gemara wants to know, what is these 10 corresponding? We're on 32A4. What are these 10 psukim? So the Gemara says, Omer of Levi, Keneged Asar Hilulim Shama David B'Sefer Tehillim. It's corresponding to the 10 Hilulim. David HaMelech said Haluka, Halut 10 times. But the Gemara is going to explain, what do you mean? David HaMelech said 10? David HaMelech said thousands, what? Many times said more than 10 how praises of Hashem, the language of Hilulim. That's what the Gemara is going to ask. The Gemara jumps. Hilulim Tuva Have. There's more than 10 languages of Hallel. But the Gemara says, Hanech Teksivi Buhu Halu B'Teka Shofar. We're referring to the chapter of Tehillim that we say in the davening that says Halu Kel B'Kacho. Right? We say Halu Kel B'Kacho, Halu B'Ki'uzo, Halu B'Vrotov, Halu B'Kudo, Halu B'Teka Shofar. There we mentioned the blowing of the shofar, and that chapter of Tehillim of David HaMelech talks about the shofar, that you praise Hashem with the blowing of the shofar, and therefore, when the rabbis instituted how many verses we're going to be on the holiday of Rosh Hashana that we're going to say, we want to connect to that chapter of Tehillim that mentions the Haluka 10 times. So today, when you say Tzukit Zimra, when you say Haluka B'Kasho, Haluka Kiruzo, Haluka, think about that chapter of Tehillim that has 10 halukas, and therefore we want to bring out that merit of that chapter, and that's why the rabbi said you got to do 10. Now the Gemara question was these 10 malchiot. Why do we have 10 malchiot? The Gemara does not ask the question, why do we have 10 zechronot? Why do we have 10 verses on shofar? So some learn that the same answer, this also applies to the other ones as well. That the reason why we have 10 zechronot, 10 shofrot, 10 verses, is also corresponding to this chapter of Tehillim. Others learn the Yerushalmi has other reasons why shofar has 10, and Zechron, that's 10. Okay, so 10 is the big number, and the Gemara continues. Rabbi Yosef has a different approach. He says, "Kineged aseret hadibrot shenemru l'Moshe b'Sinai." It's corresponding to the 10 Commandments, where the pasuk says there was a shofar at Har Sinai, and we want to connect to that event and that merit of shofar at Sinai, the giving of the Torah, the acceptance of the Torah, which is an amazing merit, right, for the Jewish people. The merit that the Jewish people accepted the Torah and they said Na'aseh v'nishma, and that makes us unique, and Hashem should show us kindness and mercy on this day of Rosh Hashana, corresponding to the Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah, where there was a shofar over there. How do you like that? The Gemara continues. Hi Ninu. Again, and the Rabbi Yochanan says, the third opinion, Mr. Haber, we got on the deal. Kineged asara ma'amorot shebehen nivra olam. The world was created, meaning man was created on day 6 of creation. Rosh Hashanah is on the day 6 of creation, right? When is Rosh Hashanah? On Aleph Tishrei, which is the day that man came to this world. It's all about you, Asaf. It's all about us. The world is all about us. And therefore, we want to connect the creation of the world, which Hashem used 10 utterances. Hashem said 10 statements. Those 10 statements went ahead and created the world. Yes. Then you had Aleph. Lamed and then Aleph, right? So because I think it says Rashi brings down a Chumash. Chavhei Tishrei was the first day of the world. Chavhei, Chavav, Chazayin, Chavtes, Lamed, and Aleph. That's what it would be according to the way what I recall Rashi says. So he says corresponding to the 10 statements that Hashem said. Hashem says, and how did Hashem create the world? Vayomeh, Hashem said, right? Hashem said, ye are, there should be light, there was light. Hashem says, there should be, there should be vegetation, there should be animals. That was created through Hashem's statement. Vayomeh Elokim, a lot of Vayomeh. Okay, very good. Now, so the Gemara says, if you go look at Bereshit, here we are about to start Bereshit, this Shabbat is Pashat Bereshit, this Shabbat. Friday and Simchat Torah, we will read from Bereshit, a little bit of Bereshit as well, the beginning. So the Gemara says, Hi Ninu, Vayomer, you're telling me that this is referring to Hashem, when Hashem said, but Vayomed the Bereshit Tishnav, they only count 9. I don't see 10 Vayomed. You're telling me it's corresponding, the 10 verses are corresponding to the creation of the world that was done with 10 statements of Hashem. We see the power of a word, right? Word creates. Morning, Gary. So the Gemara says, but we only find 9. So the Gemara says, Mama Bereshit, the first pasuk, where it says Hashem created the heavens and the earth, Nami Mamahu. It also was a statement. It was through a statement, because how was the heavens created? The pasuk said Bidva Hashem. This is the pasuk of Tehillim, which states with the word of Hashem, Bidva Hashem Shemayim Nasu. So even though it doesn't say, what do you say? Even though it doesn't say, how did the Torah about Bereshit bara Elokim et Hashemayim? In the beginning, Hashem created. It didn't say how, but how did He create it? Didn't say Vayomer. But we have it to live from David HaMelech that he tells us that the way Hashem created was using what? Was using words. I just think a little musad that we could take from here is look at the power of a word. It was the word that created the world, and maybe that just shows you that's from the most powerful things is a word.
That counts as 1 or 2?
That counts as 1. So that is and therefore that makes it that there's a total of 10 statements that Hashem said to create the world. And so we don't rest. Didn't say what was the how we know it was done through a word. And I think we should take that to heart as we're moving into, when the new year, we're going to see how David Hamela, I mean Moshe Rabbeinu in Zota Bracha, this week's parsha, he says, he gives a bracha to Yehuda, who's the kings of Israel. Shema Hashem Kol Yehuda. What's his bracha? Hashem should hear the voice of Yehuda. Yehuda is the kings. The kings are powerful. He's referring to David HaMelech. All the proper Jewish kings, what they do when they went to battle, they prayed. That's the power of the Jew. And therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu gives the blessing, and Hashem, God shall hearken and listen to the power, the prayer of the what? Of the Jewish kings. And we should merit that God should hear our prayer. I want to wish everyone a beautiful day, a Chag Sameach. And I'm gonna text everybody about tomorrow as well. Hopefully we'll be on tomorrow. I'll send Adam, you sent to the group. You're on the group chat? You're in the group chat? Okay, so I hope we should be on tomorrow. Adam will just confirm it, okay? Sounds good? Thank you for your patience. And a big talk to Adam for doing the learning. That's great.